अकायद है उनको नेगेट करना, और उसमें जो है ना ये इस किस्म की चीज़ें हैं कि किस तरीके से मुकालमा करना क्रिश्चियन से। So inshallah, bismillah, we will start. So once again, nobody has come like Biabani or Hafiz. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين كفروا لن تغني عنهم أموالهم ولا أولادهم من الله شيئا وأولئك هم وقود النار. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that those people who disbelieve or reject the faith, and nothing will benefit them, their children, their worldly possessions, and they will become the fuel of the hellfire. So such was the fate of the people of Pharaoh and those people before them. And Allah is the one who is very severe in the punishment, or very strict in the punishment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَتُغْلِبُونَ وَتَحْشُرُونَ إِلَى جَهَنَّمَ وَبِئْسَ الْمِهَادُ. And those people who reject faith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, they will very soon be vanquished and gathered toward hell. And this is the Jahannam, or the hellfire, is very bad of a abode. And now, as we mention it, that there's a mention of Badr. قَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ آيَةٌ فِي فِئَتَيْنِ الْتَقَاطَا فِئَةٌ تُقَاتِلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَأُخْرَى كَافِرَةٌ يَرَوْنَهُمْ مِثْلِهِمْ رِأْيَ الْعَيْنِ. So we'll discuss a little bit, like in this Quran Sharif, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying there's a sign for the people who, when the two groups, they collided. And which were they? It was in the battle of Badr that Muslims and Quraysh collided, and 313 Muslims, they defeated a large army of Quraysh, 1,000 strong. And the background of that goes is that after years of persecution in Mecca, so finally the two tribes of Aus and Hazrat, they had converted to Islam in the 12th year of Nabuwwat. And sort of even before Nabi Sallallahu moved to Medina, Nabi Sallallahu gave permission to Muslims to move to Medina, and Muslims started moving. And in the 13th year of Nabuwwat, Nabi Sallallahu along with Abu Bakr Siddiqui moved himself to Medina. But Quraysh did not want to leave Muslims alone. So right after Nabi Sallallahu moved to Medina, so Quraysh, they wrote a letter to the chieftains of Medina and say that, all the people who you have given them refuge, they are the one who are, according to them, they are people without religion. So hand it over to us. Otherwise, we will attack Medina. We will, kill your young ones and imprison your families. So this was the fate, and this raised the tension between the newly established Muslim community and Quraysh. So one of the chief of Ansar, his name was Saad bin Maaz. So he went to Medina, and what happened? That Quraysh, they threatened him that, why are you performing Hajj here? Like, we can kill you. So at that time, that Ansari chief, he said that, if you stop us from performing Hajj, we will stop the trade that goes to Syria. So Quraysh, they used to trade with Syria and Yemen. So Makkah was in between the two trading centers, the south of Quraysh, south of Yemen, and north in Syria. So that was a focal point, and that was the livelihood for most of the Makkans to trade. And their trade route would go through Medina. So that's how it happened that they started threatening and they started raiding. Quraysh started raiding on the outskirts of Medina, and Muslims retaliated and they tried to put an economic blockade of Quraysh. And finally, in the second year of Hijrat, on the Ramzan, 17th of Ramzan, the first battle of Badr took place. And the background of that is that when the skirmishes started happening, so one of the kafir, his name was Umro al-Hazrami. He died in one of the skirmish, and he was the one of a very prominent family. And when the news reached of Umro al-Hazrami's death, so the whole Makkah, they started, got enraged by saying revenge, revenge, revenge. So it was Umar al-Hazrami was the first kafir killed by any Muslims. Before that, no kafir. So when Muslims started a policy of economic blockade of Quraysh, so Abu Sufyan, he had taken a trade caravan to Syria. And in Syria, just on the outskirts of Damascus, there was a city called Busra, not Basra of Iraq, but Busra, that was outskirt. So that was the trading market for all the traders. So these Arab traders, when they will go to Syria, they will not go all the way to Damascus, but right outside of Damascus, there was a city called Busra. That's where all the trade caravans will, stop and trade it. So Abu Sufyan was coming back on the trade journey, and he feared that Muslims will raid his caravan. So he had a courier on a horseback, a fast courier. He sent it to Makkah and said that your trade caravan is about to be raided. So get out of your homes with your arms and with your warriors. And so when this letter reached Makkah, hastily they assembled a 1,000 strong army and they marched toward the Badr. And Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he realized that Abu Sufyan had escaped and his trade along the trade caravan, so Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he went all the way to Badr. And in the Badr, Quraysh army marched and they came face to face. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning that in many ways Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had promised Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam a complete victory. But Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the night before the battle of Badr, he spent most of his time praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he went so much involved in the prayer that his chadar fell from his shoulder. So finally, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq intervened and said that that is enough. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fulfill his promise. And Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a night before, he pointed out all the places where such and such person from the kuffar will fall and die. So Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so the next day, when the armies face each other, so it rained, and the area, the landscape was such that where Muslims camped, it was not a very stable ground. So after the rainfall, what happened that the sandy area where Muslims camped, they became more stable, and the camp where Quraysh had camped, when it rained, it became very muddy and it became half. So it was one of the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when rain, it helped Muslims. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what he did, he showed off Muslims in a larger number to Quraysh. So although there were 313, but it appeared to Quraysh that they are twice the number. So that had a psychological effect on them as well. And The third thing is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent that angels from the heavens who could fight those Quraysh. There were many witnesses that they see, and the classic example of that in this. Um, arrangement the Quraysh had made it that all the chiefs of Quraysh, they had taken turns that each day they will feed the army of 1,000 people. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, just before the battle, he had sent two people to spy on that. So what they did, two of the slaves from the Quraysh, they had come to fill the water from the wells. So Muslim escorts, they went and scouts, they went and they arrested them. And when everybody asked them how strong is the Quraysh army, they would not divulge. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked them, how many camels are cut every day? So they say one day it's 9 and another day is 10. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked around that with one camel, how many people can eat? So his Sahaba said that with one camel, 100 people can eat. So when he said that it's about 9 or 10 camels every day, so he said that they are about 1,000 strong people. So he was able to tell the people that it's 1,000 strong army. But when they square off, they knew that how much army was that. So in the Quraysh camp, what happened, that the paramount chief of that Quraysh was Utbah bin Rabi'a. Utbah bin Rabi'a was the father-in-law of Abu Sufyan. So he had come in, but he was a lot of a pacifier. He did not want an army. So Bibi Khadija's nephew, who was Hakim bin Hizam, he again did not want it to fight. So he went and approached Utbah bin Rabi'a and say that the main issue here is the blood of Umar al-Hazrami. He was one of the allies, because Umar bin al-Hazrami, he was a prominent person in Quraysh. He died. Why don't you come? In that time, blood money was a common thing. So blood money could be given by the person who killed that person or by their own allies. For the chief of the tribe or their allies, what they could do, if some of the family member or died, or the clan member died, they can compensate equivalent to the 100 camels or 100 camels. That will be financial compensation for that. So Hakim bin Hizam, who was a nephew of Bibi Khadija, but he was still a non-Muslim, he later became Muslim, he went to Utbah bin Rabi'a. Why don't you pay the blood money to the family of Umar al-Hazrami, and this bloodshed will be avoided. And this bloodshed will be avoided, and everybody in Arabia will remember you as a peacemaker. So at that time, Utbah bin Rabi'a, he said, okay. So, but although he was the paramount chief, but he needed consultation from other chiefs too. So he consulted Abu Jahl, and Abu Jahl, ridiculed him, and he said that you are a coward, and that's why you do not want to fight it. And on that, Utbah bin Rabi'a, he got enraged and said that the battlefield will tell who's the coward. And what he did, the Utbah bin Rabi'a, his son Huzaifa, he had accepted Islam. So Abu Jahl, played that card and said that since your own son has accepted Islam, he was referring to Hazrat Huzaifa, that so that's why you are trying to avoid the war. But when he was ridiculed by Abu Jahl, he said, okay, the battlefield will tell who's coward and all. So although Abu Sufyan, who was taking, there were two groups. One was a trade caravan by son-in-law of Utbah bin Rabi'a. He was taking it, and he had reached almost the outskirts of Mecca. So he wrote a letter to the army of Quraysh that now caravan is in the safe place. You can return to your home. But Abu Jahl, again, he wanted a war with Muslims. So he said that we must march toward all the way to Badr. because this way, everybody will respect, the whole Arabia will respect us, and everybody will fear and respect us from then on, because we march all the way to Makkah, to Badr, and we will go, we will feast there, we will consume alcohol, we will see the dancing of the girls and all. That's how Abu Jahl, instigated to march toward Badr. So the next day, when the Battle of Badr started, it was a common thing to start with the dole, or the individual fight, which was called in Arabic marza. So as a chief, Utbah bin Rabia, he came off, and Utbah bin Rabia had his brother Sheba bin Rabia and his son Walid. So all three of them, they say that, I am the chief of Quraysh, this is my brother Sheba, and this is my son. So somebody can come and fight me. So three Ansari Sahabis, they were in the armor. They say that we're going to fight with them. So since they were wearing the helmet, so Utbah bin Rabia did not recognize them. Says, who are you? So they say, we are such and such people. So, and when he realized they are Ansari, not the Quraysh. So whatever the reason was, he did not want to have tribal war with Ansar, or he thought that, these Ansar are not equivalent to Quraysh. He said, no, we do not have any, dispute with you. Send our own kind. Like he meant that, send Quraysh. So then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he heard that, so he sent his uncle Hamza, Hazrat Ali, and Ubaidah bin Haris. Ubaidah bin Haris was a cousin, the biggest Taya, or the uncle, the eldest Taya of was Haris. He was the oldest of Abdul Muttalib's sons, and Ubaidah was his son, Abdul. So that's why he was the cousin of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he sent people from his own clan, his uncle, Hazrat Hamza, Hazrat Ali, another cousin, and another cousin, Ubaidah. So they went and they squared off with three of the Quraysh thing. So Hazrat Ali started fight with the son of Utbah bin Rabia, so Walid, and he managed to kill him. And then Hazrat Hamza, he started fight with Utbah, and he managed to kill him. On the other hand, Ubaidah, who was facing Sheba managed to strike on the leg of Hazrat Ubaidah, and he was injured. When Hazrat Ali saw that, so he went forward and killed the Sheba bin Rabia. So this way, the initial stage, three of the main chiefs were killed. And then after that, a general fight started. And when general fight started, so Muslims, in those tribal warfare, Nabi, like we said that, Muslim had an advantage that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had sent the angels. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed the Muslim army twice the number of, but biggest of that, this army was being commanded by Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And that was the biggest advantage the Muslim had it. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had organized the army in a formation that Arab had never seen it. He organized the army, Muslim army, in rows and columns. And he told Muslims not to break those columns. So when they faced the Quraysh army, so instead of just individual combat, that was the norm for tribal warfare, the Muslims advance in rows and columns, a very disciplined formation. And we heard that three of the main chiefs, Utbah bin Rabia, Sheba bin Rabia, and Walid, they all died in the initial thing. Now it was turn of Abu Jahl, who was another chief. Abu Jahl, he had his guards all around him, and he was famous for his bravery. But what he did not know, just a night before, two of the Ansari brothers, Maas and Maus, they were not warriors, they were not young, they were just young people, probably teenagers. So they had vowed, they had never seen Abu Jahl. So they had vowed that, when we see Abu Jahl in the battlefield, either, we will die fighting him or we'll kill him. And Hazrat Abdul Rahman bin Auf, he described the incident that, he was on the horse back, and one person came from the right-hand side. It was Hazrat Mas. So he said that, uncle, have you seen Abu Jahl? So he was wondering that who is asking for Abu Jahl. And on the left side, another person, his brother, who was Maus, he said that, uncle, can you point out who's Abu Jahl? So coincidentally, Abu Jahl with his guards, appear in the front of him. So Abdul Rahman bin Auf told those brothers that, person you are asking and inquiring, he's right in front of you. So they just ran toward Abu Jahl, just like, Abdul Rahman bin Auf described, just like, a falcon attacks his prey. That's how they went and started fighting Abu Jahl. And Abu Jahl, since he was a experienced swordsman, and those two young brothers were just, enthusiastic with Iman, not celebrated swords people. So he managed to kill one of the brother, Maus. But Mas, on the other hand, he managed to kill Abu Jahl, and he fell on the ground. So as Hazrat Mas was returning to the ranks, so Akrama bin Abu Jahl, the son of Abu Jahl, he chased him, and he strike him and managed to cut one of his arm, but he still managed to go back into the ranks of Muslim army. This was an incident that even Hazrat Umar Farooq used to envy Hazrat Mas. He used to say, "MashaAllah, you are a person, one body part of you," which he meant his arm, "that has preceded you to the Jannah before you." So although he had lost one of his arm, but Hazrat Umar Farooq used to envy it. So the battle progressed, and another chief, which was Umayyah bin Khalf. Umayyah bin Khalf, he was the chief that he at one point used to own Hazrat Bilal Habshi, and he used to torture him by trying to change his religion back to the old religion. And Hazrat Bilal Habshi suffered a lot of torture from Umayyah bin Khalf. So Umayyah bin Khalf, when he went to a battlefield, so Hazrat Bilal Habshi saw him, and Bilal Habshi, he called his Ansari friends and said, "This is Umayyah bin Khalf, the same person who had tortured him for accepting Islam." So he went and attacked. Abdul Rahman bin Auf, in the before Islam, they used to be friends, Umayyah bin Khalf and Abdul Rahman bin Auf. So they had sort of still maintained some kind of contact and some kind of informal friendship. So he had promised, they had made some kind of a pact, Umayyah bin Khalf, Abdul Rahman bin Auf. Abdul Rahman bin Auf said that, if I ever come to Makkah, you will protect me. That was a tribal affiliation with that nobody will be able to hurt me. And Umayyah bin Khalf said that, if I ever come to Medina or anybody I need a protection, you will protect me. So Abdul Rahman bin Auf said, okay. So when he saw Abdul Rahman bin Auf, that, Hazrat Bilal Habshi, along with some Ansaris, they are coming for Umayyah. So he told Umayyah to lie on the ground, and I will cover you up. So he did. Abdul Rahman bin Auf, he covered him up with his body, so nobody can, kill him. But, Hazrat Bilal Habshi came, he sit down on the ground and then spoke with Umayyah bin Khalf with his spear and kill him. So Abdul Rahman bin Auf, he tried to save Umayyah bin Khalf, but he could not do that. So when people later on, they told the incident to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that such and such thing happened, that Abdul Rahman bin Auf tried to save Umayyah bin Khalf, and this how Ansari along with Bilal Habshi, they killed him. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam praised both of those people. He praised Abdul Rahman bin Auf because he is the one who always kept his promise. He had given a word to Umayyah that he will protect him, and he tried to do that. And he also praised Bilal Habshi that he killed one of the enemies of Islam. So now Umayyah bin Khalf was killed, Abu Jahl was killed, Atba bin Rabia was killed, Sheba bin Rabia was killed, Walid was killed. Now there was another chief called I forgot his name, but he was a chief. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told that, he was a kind-hearted person and he had just come along just because in the peer pressure. So, if you see him, spare him. So that Quraysh chief, he showed up, and Ansari and Muslims, Mahajir Muslims, they told him that, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us not to hurt you because, Nabi Sallallahu some thought that he was a kind-hearted person, just he came because of pressure of that. So he said, what about my friend who was also, there were two people riding in same horse. So he said, no, nobody said about your friend. So he said, I do not want to be ridiculed by the women of Quraysh. That I saved my life and let my friend being slaughtered in the battlefield. So he started fighting and he died. So when all the core cream of the Quraysh, they were killed in the battlefield, now they started surrendering. They started throwing weapons. So 1,000 strong army came. 70 of them, they died in the battlefield. 70 of them was arrested, and rest of them, 850 of them, they escaped the battlefield and they went back to Makkah. And it was a complete and astounding victory for Muslims. And among the arrested was the uncle of Hazrat Abbas, of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Hazrat Abbas. So Hazrat Abbas, as I said, that the arrangement for the food was that each day one of the Quraysh chief, he would pay for the the food of that. They will slaughter 9 or 10 camels and feed it to the whole army. And he had taken a turn because he was one of the chiefs of Quraysh, Hazrat Abbas. So, but his turn had not come. So he had 20 uqiyah gold, which was, I think, some ounces. I do not know how much is uqiyah. But so Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he captured that gold, and he said that put it in the Batul Mal, that common thing. And he said that now you pay for the compensation of yourself and the other member of Quraysh who were captured. So although Hazrat Ali, he was fighting for under the ban of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his own brother Aqil was on the other side. So Hazrat Hamza, the one of uncle of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, was fighting on this side, but Hazrat Abbas was fighting on the other side. So 3 people were captured from the family of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but they were Quraysh. So he told Hazrat Abbas to pay for the bounty and release them, the compensation. So Hazrat Abbas showed that I do not have any money. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that what happened to the money that you give it to your wife when you were going for the battlefield, and say that if something happened to me or if I die, give such and such money to that and that. So that's when Hazrat Abbas said that I testified that you are prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody knew about this thing between me and my wife, that I told her that if something happened to me, give that much money to my such and such child and such and such child. So I testify. So the wife of Hazrat Abbas was Fazl. She was an early convert, but Hazrat Abbas had not converted. But that time he converted, and he said instead of settling in Medina, he asked permission to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that he wants to go back to Makkah and he wants to keep his faith secret. And that's what he did. That till the conquest of Makkah, Hazrat Abbas kept his faith secret, and he left and he stayed in Makkah and secretly practiced his religion. So this is the brief description of Badr. After Badr, the whole Arabia was astonished at how strong Muslims were, and it had a deep impact on the Medina community. So the chief of hypocrites, Abdullah bin Ubay, who had not accepted Islam, but he hypocritically accepted Islam because he knew now that everybody is seeing Muslims in awe, that how great of a multi-power they are. So he came to Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam after the battle of Badr and said that, I want to accept Islam. But he did not accept the Islam wholeheartedly. It was just a hypocritic, it was a political move that he did that. One interesting thing happened that during the battle, the uncle of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Hazrat Abbas, he lost his shirt. His shirt was ripped apart. And he was taken prisoner. So Abdullah bin Ubay, he offered his shirt to the uncle because Hazrat Abbas was a very tall person and there was no shirt that would fit him. So Abdullah bin Ubay offered his shirt that, take my shirt, and Hazrat Abbas wore that. So some Sahabis even say that when Abdullah bin Ubay, he died, so Nabi Muhammad gave his shirt to Abdullah bin Ubay, and that was a repay for the favor he did for the uncle of Nabi Muhammad that he had offered his shirt. So Nabi Muhammad's shirt became the coffin of Abdullah bin Ubay, the hypocrite. So that was a brief description. Inshallah, in some time, this is such a important event in the Badr is such an important event, as I said earlier part of the lecture, that Hazrat Ali, he was being chosen as the Caliph for the Muslims. So all the people, the prominent Sahabas, they came and they took a bet with Hazrat Ali that, we want you to be the Khalifa, and we take the oath or the bet. So he said that, it is not the right of general Muslims to accept, to select a Khalifa, but it is exclusive right of Ashab Badr. So Ashab Badr, when they came and they did the bet to Hazrat Ali, he only then accepted the Khilafat. The battles, the weapons that were used in the Battle of Badr, they became the tabarakat, or they became the very important thing. So just as a token of barakat in a later war that happened with Persia and Roman, so just as a symbol of token, those weapons that were used in Badr, they were used. And those Sahabas, even though when they became very old, so they were held in high esteem, and in the latter wars, they just came as a tabarruk, because they thought, Muslims believed that, because of their barakat, Allah will grant Muslims victory in the armies. So after that, so now that next ayat in this, Bismillah, زين للناس حب الشهوات من النساء والبنين والقناطير المقتنطرة. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing, since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a human being, so he's describing what are the wants, what are the needs, and what are the actually the weaknesses of human. So all of them, they want women, they want the sons, they want the hoards of gold and silver, and they also want horses, and there are two different kind of horses are mentioned. One is khili elwal musammati. So the difference between those two horses in Arabic, since it was a very much horse culture, so they had different names for different kind of horses. So khili is the horse that you ride on, and again musammati is the horse that is freely roam in pastures. So usually it is healthier, this is stronger horse. And wal anami, that means the cattle, and the farms, al haras, the farm. So these are the provisions of this worldly thing. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that, doesn't these, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describing the human nature. What does human wants? He wants a good wife or good woman in his life. He wants children. He wants gold and silver. He wants good, like in today's time, just like in those olden days, the people love their horses. In today's time, people love their cars. They want, a car that has a lot of horsepower. So horses are not there, but they want a car that has a lot of horsepower. So these are the things. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that Allah has something better for you, because what we have in this is only for a person who lives a temporary life in this world. a person in this world lives for 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, or even 100 years. But this is a temporary abode. So for that, yes, these are the things that you want in life. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has something better for you. And Allah has a better abode for you. So, Wallahu indahu husnul ma'ab. So Allah has a better. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قل أو نبئكم بخير من ذلكم. So should I tell you something better than that? Okay, these are the better things, good horses, the riding horses, those horses that roam freely in the pastures, heap of gold, heap of silver, family life. But he's telling Nabi that should I tell something better? And for those righteous people, for in the Rabbihim Jannatun Tajri min Tahtiha al-Anhar Khalidina fiha. So these worldly pleasures are only temporary. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that Allah has for the righteous people Jannatun Tajri min Tahtiha al-Anhar Khalidina fiha wa azwajum mutahharatun. So Allah says that He has something better for the righteous people, that they will live there forever. So Hazrat Imam Ghazali described the worldly life versus the life of hereafter. This worldly life, he says that in this world, there's a limited time. For us, it's 70 years, 80 years, 90 years that we live in this world, whatever the Allah has decreed for us. So he described that, think of a valley, which there's a lot of pebbles. A bird comes after every 500 years and pick up one pebble and goes away. So it will take a very long time for all the pebbles to go away. But a time will come, even after a long time, that all the pebbles will be gone. But he says there's another kind of scenario in which there will not be a time, which is the hereafter. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, the pleasure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you are better because they will everlasting pleasure. There's no time frame in that. And you will have a better spouses. Azwajum mutahharatun. They are the pure spouses that you will get. And above all, ridwanu min Allah. And the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu basirum bil ibad. Allah is the ever seeing toward his slaves. And now there's a beautiful dua that is follow. Allazina yaquluna rabbana innana amanna faghfir lana dhunubana wa qina azaban nar. And these rewards are for those people who says that, oh Lord, we believe in you, so forgive us, forgive our son, and save us from the hellfire. So there are a lot of du'as that start with Rabbana in Quran Sharif, and these are the one very beautiful du'as. We must try to memorize them and make it a routine to read it in our daily life. And was-sabirina was-sadiqati wal-qanitina wal-munfiqina wal-mustaqfirina bil-ihsan. And those people who are the steadfast, those people who are truthful, those people who are indulged in the ibadat, and those people who spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those people who ask for forgiveness in the early hours of the day. So shahadallahu innahu la ilaha illahu. So Allah testified that He is the one and the only God, and so are the angels, and those people who maintain the justice. So la ilaha illahu al azizul hakim. So now, since this chapter is basically discussing or addressing the Christians, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that now you want to find righteousness. Inna dina indallahi Islam. So for the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the deen is Islam, which is brought by Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So those Christians, they were curious. What kind of religion is that? They believe in all the previous prophets. They believe in Abraham. They believe in Ishmael al-Islam. They believe in Isaac and all that. So is it Christianity, a form of Christianity? No, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, if for Allah, the deen is the Islam. So although there are common things with Christians, but so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, if they argue, فَإِنْ حَاجُّوكَ, so if they argue with, this word hajjuka, what does it mean? Does it have any correlation with Hajj? So basically the root of that word, Hajj or Hajju, it means the noise, or so Hajj, in which people say takbirat, and even in the day of Jahiliyyah, people used to shout. So Hajj means a noise, or a chanting or thing like that. And this is the word hajjuka, when we say in Urdu, hujjat ki. So hujjat means, when you argue, a loud noise. So hajjuka means if they argue with loudly. So if in hajjuka faqul aslamtu wajhiya. So if they argue with you, so tell them that I've bowed my head for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and those who follow me. And قُلْ لِلَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ وَالْأُمِّينَ أَسْلَمْتُ. And would you do the same thing and give a message? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and in turn Muslims, how to deal with Christians when you argue, because there is a dialogue, lot of interfaith dialogue that so some people have difficulty finding a proper way or proper approach how to deal with them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guiding Muslims in all the aspects of life, even how to dialogue with Christians. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that I have bowed my head in submission. That means I have this is my Islam, and so is my follow. And would you do the same thing? And he's addressing. So if you do that, you will find the guidance. Wa in tawallo, and if you turn back from that, so my duty is only to propagate that. Wallahu basirun bil ibad. Allah is the one who sees his slaves. So they also had some doubt that Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, just like they had the false idea of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, that he is Ma'azallah, son of God. So what Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam saying? So he is saying that I'm just a Nabi of Allah. So we do not have any concept of what Christians have it. We love and follow all the prophets, but monotheism is the key to our religion. So this is the first address to the Christians, because as I said, a delegation from Najran had come and tried to ask Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam different questions about their faith and what. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, so for Allah, the deen is deen of Islam, the one brought by Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And it is, if they want to find guidance as salvation, the way of that is to follow Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Jazakallah khair. So I will leave it here, and if somebody questions or any comments.